Hi everybody, it's 314 Reactor here. Today we're going to be looking at some more Unreal Tournament, but this time on my new graphics card. Finally, I've gotten my 3090. There was a lot of supply issues with the Asus version, but there were other ones in stock, so they offered me an MSI version instead, so I went for that, and finally, on Monday it came through. And of course, one of the first things I did was load up a 21-year-old game on it, Unreal Tournament, but also with Reshade running. Now before, Reshade used to run at about 55 frames a second on Unreal Tournament with all the ray tracing on, but now it runs at a much higher frame rate. So let's have a look and see how it runs. We've just got the time demo statistics on there. Let's load up some Morpheus. Make sure we got the HD skins and random HD armors. If you want to know how to get ray tracing on Unreal Tournament, check out my previous video. That's linked in the description. Let's dive right in and see what the frame rate's like. Alrighty, so here we are. That's with the RT all on very nicely. And we are running at 97 frames per second there, averaging around 95. That average will go up. That's really smooth. And it's barely noticeable that Reshade's even on. And when I turn Reshade off, the frame rate is still around 97 frames. So that's basically at the VSync limit of my monitor, which is pretty amazing. So we load up. So like I said before, this was running at about 50 frames a second or so. Maybe a bit less in some more intense areas. Outside of ray tracing, it was pretty much 80 to 90 frames. But here we are. That's just a basic Morpheus level. Not too heavy. But what we're going to take a look at is DM peak, which is where I found that it was really hitting the frame rate. And even with ray tracing off, just on DirectX11 with all the HD textures and stuff, it was still pulling it down to about 88 frames a second. So, let's fire off some rockets, and then we'll go to DM peak. Oh man, this looks so good. It's just so smooth. Uh-oh. Okay, let's go to DM peak. Alright, so here we are. 87 frames there. Bit of lag, just loading up textures and stuff. So this is the area, this hallway here, is where before, even with the RT off, it was running at about 88 frames. And there you go, it's locked at 97 frames. So that is again, almost 98 frames a second. So that is again basically at VSync. Turn the RT on, and we're still at 81 frames. So I've gotten like, I think it was about 40, maybe late 30s sort of there. So we've gone up about 40, at least 40 frames a second in this area. So that's pretty awesome. But of course, one of the things that has been noted is that some of these RT settings are a little bit too high. I go a bit crazy with these settings when I first discover them. So I'm going to tone some of them down a bit. Alright, so here we are, back in that hallway. Let's bring up Reshade controls. Let's go to the lighting channel. So you can see it's pretty crazy. A lot of reflectivity going on there. So what I'm going to do is... Oh wow, the roughness is left at 0.5. That's why it's so shiny. So let's crank that up to 45. Specular, 20. Next bounce weight. Maybe tweak that roughness up to 50. Keep that ray length up. We'll keep ambient occlusion intensity at 4. Bounce lighting intensity to 5. Yeah, that still looks pretty good. Turn it off. And back on. So still got that nice kind of lighting there. But not too excessive. Just love how smooth this runs. Just basically no frame rate dip that I've seen so far. Nothing below 60. So let's load up a more hardcore map. Let's go for some CTF on Lava Giant. 16 bots. So it's going to be plenty of bots running around, plenty of stuff going on. The bots have hoovered up all the weapons. There we go, alright. Few dips there. I think it's loading up textures and stuff. So again, still around 90 frames. So smooth. And with all the benefits of that nice RTGI shader. Down to about 78 frames there. Just for a second. So I think it's safe to say vanilla Unreal Tournament with Reshade Ray Tracing is now going to be sat firmly above 60 frames a second, which is awesome. But what about if we load up gnarly weapons with, again, all the bells and whistles? So if we go to Face on Lava, and we put in Gnarly Weapons 3, and we put in Ultra Gore, and we put in Monster Hunt. And let's see what we can do. I really just want to see how the GPU handles the massive explosions on Gnarly Weapons 3. So I'm not sure if it's a more CPU thing or a more GPU thing. I don't think I've ever really tried Gnarly Weapons with the Ray Tracer on. Oh, look at that lighting there. So it'll be good to see how it handles it. Alright, here we go. A level 4 nuke. Let's fire that off. 80 frames. Whoa! Still took it down to 40 frames there. 60. That's still pretty smooth, though. That's smoother than it was. Wow. Let's fire up for level 2. Smoothly does it. There we go. And right into here. See the explosion. Oh, that took it down to 37 frames a second there. So that all runs pretty smooth. What I want to do is get the ultimate protoss, like the ultimate weapon that finishes the game. Alrighty, so here we are. We've got the Overstructor with the ultimate protoss. Let's do this and see what the frame rate is. So again, this is 4K, DirectX11, loads of textures, and with Reshade Ray Tracing on. So let's go. Now my previous video, which I'll link down below, I think this dipped down to below 20 FPS before, and this was without reshade, so we'll see what it does this time. So we're down to 72 frames. Whoa. Okie dokie, let's move back. So we're down to 31 frames. Let's turn the ray tracing off. And it makes no difference. Okay, so ray tracing on or off, this makes no difference. I think it is down to, I think it is more down to CPU at this point. Or just the limitations of the engine. Whoa. So yeah, 22 frames. So I think any graphics card is going to struggle with this, because I think it's probably more an engine limitation or... Oh my god. 14 frames a second. Yeah, ray tracing on or off, it's the same. Wow. Doesn't go into single digits though, like it used to, and it doesn't crash anymore with 469. Oh, here we go. Oh no, now it's in the single digits. Now we're at like 5 frames a second there for a bit.
Congratulations, you are the winner.
Wow. I wonder if there ever will be a PC that can run that super explosion at 60 frames a second. I hope to find out one day. So we are back on Hyperblast. I've reduced the roughness to 35 and bounce lighting is up to 4 now. It might still be a bit too strong on more natural landscapes, but I think that's okay for now. This is pretty awesome. To be able to run Reshade without the frame rate going below 60. It's really, really smooth. And yeah, before anyone, you know, comments saying, you know, Unreal Tournament on a 3090, why? Why not? It's with Reshade, which is can be quite heavy, so yeah, why not? Of course, I've been playing other games. The 3090 is really good. It pretty much plays anything at 4K at 60 plus. Ray tracing games, even without DLSS, it still runs pretty decent frame rates, so it's pretty amazing. Battlefield 5 4K runs really nicely with DLSS on at like 80 frames. but that's DLSS 1, so it looks kind of blurry, so I turned DLSS off, and it still runs at 60 frames plus. But newer games with DLSS 2, they look great and they run smooth. Shadow of the Tomb Raider runs pretty much 60 frames plus, 4K, full settings, ray tracing. It's an amazing card, and the amount of VRAM on it just means you just never have to worry about running out of VRAM. Breakpoint runs at about 70 frames a second average, and uses about 10 gigs of VRAM, which was a problem before on my 2080, which only had 8 gigs of VRAM, but now, yeah, it's nowhere near even filling it up. But of course, no matter how many upgrades I get, no matter what new cards I buy, I'll always be playing Unreal Tournament. Whoa. So that was just a quick little video that I wanted to do on Reshade and the 3090 on Unreal Tournament. Let's load up a more natural looking map and see how those settings hold up against stuff like grass with the Reshade. Because obviously you don't want grass reflecting too much. Or dirt. Dirt and grass you don't want reflecting too much, like mirrors. So let's do a bit of the old classic Assault Frigate. This should show off some nice metallic textures, some wood textures, and some ground textures. So as you can see here, this ground here is not too reflective. The reshade's not making that too shiny. And the screen space reflections also aren't. Just kind of see a bit of an extra reflection of that wooden bit there. But not too bad. It's not. It doesn't make it look like a mirror. This bit here, just adding a bit of shadowing around the boat. You can see there's some nice bounce lighting coming up from the water there. That nice blue bit. That's really cool. Let's check out the lighting. And then on the boat, obviously, you want the metal to be shiny, so that's fine. Like I said, you can see the wood is kind of shiny here, and the ground is kind of shiny. But when you go back to the regular channel, it's not too noticeable. I mean, you can see a bit of that tree there. So maybe it is a little bit noticeable, but not too bad. It's not making it look like a mirror. I keep turning the roughness back up, then turning it back down, because I just really like the reflections. I want to put that roughness at 45. And then we check out the metallic area. Go to lighting channel. See, that probably is quite a good compromise. I mean, the screen space reflections handle a lot of the reflections anyway, so I mean, it's more just complementing them. 40. Next bounce weight. Bounce lighting intensity. I'm going to keep that at 4, to be honest. So I think that's probably a good balance. Back to the regular channel. That looks pretty good to me. In fact, that looks beautiful. And you've got the extra shadowing under the bridge there. Shadowing inside here. Oh, that extra shadowing down that hallway. It's just an effect that you can't really get without tracing rays. In terms of the lighting and stuff. Again, I'm going to keep tweaking it and adjusting it over time. Oh. These boxes, I need to find the model ID for those and reduce the tessellation on them because they are, well, they've gone like popcorn. That's crazy. But other than that, we're looking pretty good. And again, the frame rate's pretty much 80 plus all the time. Ooh, look at that. Just when all these effects come together, you can see the shadowing on the propellers there. Added in with the ray tracing. Oh, beautiful. Like I said, I'm never going to ever stop playing this game. Doesn't matter how advanced computers get or how advanced other games get or anything. I'll always be enjoying a bit of Unreal Tournament. Oh, frame rate went to 60 there, but didn't dip below it. Whoa! See, I've just loaded this level up with just way too many bots. I think it's only meant for like 8 bots max, but I'll put 16 on, so it just turns crazy. Oh, I just love how the ray tracing complements the water effects. Oh, and DLC sharpening as well, just sharpening up those textures. Whoa! Oh, look at the ray tracing, the blue water effect on that gun there. Oh, that is so nice. I mean, obviously you don't need an RTX card to do Reshade Ray Tracing because it's software-based ray tracing, but it's still quite computationally heavy, so the faster your graphics card, the better it's going to run it. And given it I think the 3090 is the fastest, if not one of the fastest graphics cards out there, it certainly helps. Because even older games running it, it can bring down the frame rate. And Unreal Tournament is maybe 21 years old, but it can be quite heavy to run because of all the new stuff that's running on it. DirectX11, all the new textures and stuff. And with, like I say, with 24 gigs of VRAM, all the textures should have enough room to work with. And there we go. So that was Unreal Tournament with Reshade Ray Tracing on an RTX 3090 running at 60 FPS plus pretty much all the time. Just want to do a quick video on that. Really happy with the card. Really happy with this game, where it's going. So yeah, please do like and subscribe. Hit the little bell. Really helps. Leave a comment. Let me know what you think. I hope everyone's staying safe, and I will see you in the next video.